I still remember the day my world turned upside down. My name is Emily, and I'm a 30-year-old freelance graphic designer. I've always prided myself on my independence, but that morning as I stared at my bank statement, I felt like a child again, lost and confused. The numbers danced before my eyes, and I could hardly believe what I was seeing. Over $500,000. Money I had earned, yet had no idea existed. For years, I had trusted my dad completely. He always told me he was helping me manage my finances, guiding me through the complexities of adulthood. But now, I realized that trust had been misplaced. My father had been secretly controlling my earnings, stashing them away in a hidden account, all under the guise of protecting me. "Emily, are you home?" His voice echoed through the house, jolting me from my thoughts. I quickly folded the statement and shoved it into my pocket, my heart racing. I had stumbled upon this shocking revelation while searching for a stapler in his office. An ironic twist of fate, considering he had always lectured me about financial responsibility. As he entered the room, perfectly composed as always, I felt a wave of anger wash over me. "What are you doing in here?" he asked, his tone casual, but I could sense the underlying tension. I held up the stapler, forcing a smile. "Just needed this for work." But inside I was seething. How could he do this to me? I had been living a lie, and it was time to confront the truth. As I sat across from my best friend Lily at our favorite cafe, I slid the bank statement across the table, my hands trembling. "Holy cow, Emily," she exclaimed, her eyes widening as she read the numbers. "All this time your dad has been skimming off your earnings? This isn't just mismanagement, it's theft." I took a deep breath, trying to steady my racing heart. I thought he was helping me. He always said he was protecting me from making bad financial decisions. But now I feel like I've been living in a bubble. Lily leaned in closer, her expression serious. "You need to confront him. This is financial abuse, Emily. You've worked hard for that money, and he has no right to keep it from you." I nodded, but a part of me hesitated. "But he's my dad. He always meant well. Maybe he really thought he was doing what was best for me." "Stop making excuses for him." Lily's voice rose slightly, drawing the attention of nearby tables. "This isn't love, it's control. You need to take back your life." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I had spent my entire life believing that my father's strict control was a form of love, but now everything felt tainted. I pulled out my phone and showed her the emails I had discovered, how he had been intercepting my bank statements, credit card offers, everything. He had complete access to my accounts, while I could barely see my own balance without him hovering over my shoulder. "What are you going to do?" Lily asked, concern etched on her face. I took a deep breath, feeling a newfound determination surge within me. "I'm going to take it all back, not just the money, but my life, my independence, everything. But I need to be smart about it." "You need a lawyer," Lily said immediately. "I need more than that," I replied, flipping to a clean page in my notebook. "I need a plan. My dad always preaches about the importance of careful planning, right? Well, I learned from the best." Lily's smile turned wicked. "Count me in. Whatever you need, I'm here for you." Just then, my phone buzzed with a text from my dad. "Remember to save your receipt from the cafe for your expense tracking." I showed it to Lily, who rolled her eyes. "He has no idea what's coming, does he?" "No," I said, closing the message without responding. "But he will. I'm done being the good, obedient daughter he can manipulate. It's time he learns that his perfect little girl has grown up, and she's not going to like what she sees." I opened my notebook and started writing, each word a brick in the foundation of my independence. The game of control and submission that had defined our relationship was about to change dramatically, and for once, I would be the one making the rules. The next day, I found myself sitting in a sleek office, the scent of fresh coffee wafting through the air. I was across from Mark, a lawyer who specialized in financial disputes. He leaned back in his leather chair, studying me over his reading glasses. "Emily, what exactly are we dealing with here?" I slid the bank statement across his desk, watching as his eyebrows shot up in surprise. "Your father did this?" he asked, letting out a low whistle. "Every penny you've earned since you started working?" "Yes," I replied, my voice steady. "He's been protecting me from my own money, or so he claims." Lily, who had insisted on coming with me, spoke up from her chair beside me. "We need to know what options Emily has legally speaking." Mark removed his glasses and polished them with his tie, deep in thought. "Technically, if your father had authorization to manage these accounts, which he likely made you give him when you turned 18, he hasn't broken any laws. Morally questionable? Absolutely." I felt a wave of frustration wash over me. I don't care about pressing charges. I just want control of my own life and my own money. "Now that's something we can work with," Mark said, pulling out a legal pad. "First step, we set up new accounts at a different bank. Your father won't have access or even know they exist." "Checks everything," I warned, my mind racing. "Then we go digital," Lily suggested. "Paperless statements. A secure email address he doesn't know about." "Exactly," Mark agreed. "And I know someone who can help with the next part. A business consultant named Hector. He specializes in startups and investment strategies." My phone buzzed again. It was a text from my dad. "Don't forget we're having dinner with the Petersons tonight. Wear something professional." I ignored it, focusing on Mark. "Tell me more about Hector." 2 hours later, I sat across from Hector at a small cafe 3 towns over, far from my father's usual haunts. He had kind eyes and a quick smile that immediately put me at ease. "So," he said, spreading out some documents between us. "Devon tells me you're interested in starting a business." "I have skills," I said, pulling out my portfolio. "I've been managing design projects for various clients for years, but my dad always said striking out on my own would be too risky." "The biggest risk in business is letting fear stop you," Hector replied, his enthusiasm infectious. "Show me what you've got." As I walked him through my campaigns, his eyes lit up. "This is impressive work," he said. "Why are you still doing this for other people when you could be building your own empire?" "Because until now I didn't have access to startup capital," I admitted, a smile creeping onto my face. "But things have changed." "How much are we talking about?" Hector asked, scribbling notes. "I can move about $50,000 without raising suspicion for now," I said, feeling a rush of excitement. "That's more than enough to get started," Hector replied, his energy palpable. "But we need to move fast, set up an LLC, create a business plan." Just then, my phone buzzed again. It was a text from my dad. "Mrs. Peterson says she saw you at lunch. We need to talk about taking on extra work without consulting me first." I showed Hector the message, and he raised an eyebrow. "That could be a problem," he said. "She'll tell your father she saw you here." "I agree," I said, my mind racing. "But it might work in our favor. Let him think I'm just taking on extra freelance work. It'll keep him from looking too closely at what we're really doing." "Smart," Hector said, nodding. "But we need to be careful. One wrong move could ruin everything." "I know," I replied, determination flooding my veins. "But I'm done being careful. I'm done being controlled." "Then let's make this happen," Hector said, pulling out his laptop. "By the time your father figures out what's going on, you'll be too established for him to stop you." The next few weeks flew by in a whirlwind of activity. I was determined to make Creative Vision a success, and with Hector's guidance, I was learning the ins and outs of running a business. We set up new accounts at a bank my father didn't know about, and I felt a sense of relief wash over me every time I logged in. For the first time, I was in control of my finances. As I began to land clients, the thrill of entrepreneurship ignited a fire within me. I was no longer just Emily, the obedient daughter. I was Emily, the business owner. I felt empowered, and it was exhilarating. But I knew I couldn't avoid my father forever. One evening, as I was preparing for a client meeting, I received a text from him. Don't forget we're having dinner with the Petersons tomorrow night. I expect you to be there. I took a deep breath, knowing this was my chance to confront him. I had to be brave. The dinner was a lavish affair, filled with laughter and the clinking of glasses. My father sat at the head of the table, his usual air of authority surrounding him. As the evening progressed, I could feel the tension building between us. I had to speak up. "Dad," I said, my voice steady but firm, "I need to talk to you about something important." He looked up, surprised. "What is it, Emily? Can't it wait until after dinner?" "No, it can't," I replied, my heart racing. "I found out about this secret account you've been managing in my name." The room fell silent, and I could feel the eyes of our guests on us. My father's expression shifted from surprise to defensiveness. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about the money you've been hiding from me," I said, my voice rising slightly. "Over $500,000 that I earned, but you've kept it from me all these years." His face flushed, and I could see the anger boiling beneath the surface. "I was protecting you, Emily. You don't understand how the world works. You're not ready to handle that kind of money." "Protecting me?" I shot back, my frustration spilling over. "You've been controlling me. I'm 30 years old, Dad. I can handle my own finances. I've started my own business, and I'm doing just fine without your interference." The guests exchanged glances, clearly uncomfortable with the confrontation. My father's jaw clenched, and I could see the conflict in his eyes. "You think you can just walk away from my guidance? You're making a huge mistake." "No, Dad," I said, my voice steady. "The mistake was letting you control my life for so long. I'm taking back my independence, and I won't let you manipulate me anymore." As I spoke, I felt a weight lifting off my shoulders. I was finally standing up for myself, and it felt liberating. After dinner, I could see my father was shaken. He didn't say a word as we left the table, but I could feel the tension hanging in the air. I knew this was just the beginning of a long battle, but I was ready to fight for my freedom. In the weeks that followed, I poured my heart and soul into creative vision. With Hector's expertise and Lily's unwavering support, I began to see real success. We landed several high-profile clients, and my portfolio grew exponentially. I felt a sense of pride I had never experienced before. I was no longer just a daughter under her father's thumb. I was a businesswoman carving my own path. But with success came scrutiny. My father, sensing the shift in power, began to dig deeper. He called my clients, questioning my capabilities and spreading rumors about my mental state. I could feel the tension building, and I knew I had to confront him again. One afternoon, as I was reviewing contracts in my office, my phone buzzed with a text from my dad. "I'm worried about you. You're making reckless decisions. Let's talk." I took a deep breath, knowing this was my chance to set the record straight. I texted back, "I'm busy right now, but we need to talk soon." That evening, I met with Hector and Lily to strategize. "He's trying to sabotage us," I said, my voice filled with frustration. "He's calling my clients and spreading lies." Hector nodded, his expression serious. "We need to protect your business. I suggest we send him a cease and desist letter. It's time to put a stop to this." I agreed, feeling a surge of determination. "Let's do it. I won't let him control my narrative any longer." The next day we sent the letter, and I felt a sense of relief wash over me. I was taking action, and it felt empowering. But I knew my father wouldn't back down easily. A few days later, I received a call from one of my clients. "Emily, we've received some concerning information about your company," they said, their tone cautious. "Someone claiming to be your father called us, raising questions about your financial reliability." My heart sank. "I'm sorry you had to deal with that. I assure you, my business is stable and growing. I can send you our latest performance metrics if you'd like." "Please do," they replied, and I quickly sent over the information. I could feel the pressure mounting, but I refused to let my father's actions derail my success. As the weeks passed, I continued to thrive. I secured a major contract that would elevate my business to new heights. I felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. but I also knew my father was still lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. Then came the night of my father's annual birthday gala, the biggest social event of the year. I knew this was my opportunity to confront him publicly. I had a plan, and I was ready to execute it. As I arrived at the venue, I could feel the eyes of the guests on me. My father was in his element, charming everyone around him, but I was determined to steal the spotlight. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, stepping up to the microphone, "I'd like to share some important lessons I've learned about financial independence and trust." The room fell silent, and I could see my father's expression shift from surprise to anger. "What are you doing?" he hissed, but I ignored him. Lesson 1. Always know where your money is going, even if someone else is hiding it from you. I clicked to the first slide, revealing the hidden account statement. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Lesson 2. Be careful who you trust with your financial information. Some people might use it against you. I displayed screenshots of my father's emails to my clients, revealing his attempts to undermine my business. The murmurs grew louder, and I could see my father's face turning red with rage. "Emily, stop this immediately," he shouted, but I pressed on. Lesson 3. Success is the best revenge. I clicked to the next slide, showcasing my company's latest valuation. In just a few months, I built a 7-figure company without your help or permission. The room erupted in whispers, and I could see the shock on my father's face. "You can't control me anymore, Dad. Not my money, not my business, not my life." As I finished my presentation, I felt a rush of adrenaline. I had taken back my power, and I was ready to face whatever came next. The aftermath of my presentation at the gala was nothing short of chaotic. As I stepped down from the stage, the room buzzed with whispers and shocked expressions. I could see my father standing there, his face a mix of disbelief and fury. I had just shattered the carefully constructed facade he had maintained for years, and I felt a sense of liberation wash over me. As I made my way through the crowd, I could hear snippets of conversations. "Did you hear about the hidden account? I can't believe he did that to her." The realization that I wasn't alone in this fight filled me with strength. I had allies now, friends, clients, and even family members who were beginning to see the truth. But my father wasn't done yet. He stormed out of the venue, and I knew he would try to regain control. I took a deep breath, reminding myself that I had already taken the first step toward my freedom. I was no longer the obedient daughter. I was a businesswoman with a vision. The next morning, I woke up to a flurry of messages on my phone. Some were supportive, congratulating me on my bravery, while others were from relatives who were caught in the crossfire. My father had called them, trying to spin the narrative in his favor, but I was ready for this. I had prepared myself for the fallout. I met with Hector and Lily to discuss our next steps. "We need to solidify our position," Hector said, his tone serious. "Your father will likely try to undermine you further. We need to be proactive." I nodded, feeling a sense of determination. "Let's focus on building the business and expanding our client base. I won't let him distract me from my goals." As the weeks passed, I poured my energy into creative vision. We secured more clients and our reputation grew. I felt a sense of pride in what I was building, and I knew I was on the right path. I was finally living life on my own terms. Then came the day I received a call from my father. "Emily, we need to talk," he said, his voice strained. "I've been thinking about what you said at the gala." I took a deep breath, bracing myself for the conversation. "What do you want to talk about, Dad?" "I realize I may have overstepped," he admitted, his tone softer than I expected. "I thought I was protecting you, but I see now that I was controlling you. I'm sorry." His apology caught me off guard. I had prepared for a confrontation, not a moment of vulnerability. "Dad, it's going to take time for me to trust you again. I need to know that you respect my independence." "I understand," he replied. "I want to support you. but I need to learn how to do that without interfering. We talked for a while longer, and I could sense a shift in our relationship. It wouldn't be easy, but I was willing to give him a chance to change. I knew that rebuilding trust would take time, but I was ready to take that step. As I hung up the phone, I felt a mix of emotions. I was proud of myself for standing up to him, but I also felt a glimmer of hope that we could find a way to move forward. In the months that followed, I continued to thrive in my business. I was featured in several business magazines, and my story of resilience and independence inspired others. I learned that success wasn't just about proving my father wrong, it was about proving myself right. I also made the decision to move out of my father's house. It was time to create my own space, free from the shadows of his control. I found a cozy apartment in the city, and as I unpacked my things, I felt a sense of excitement for the future. One evening, as I sat in my new living room, sipping coffee and reviewing my latest project, I received a text from my father. "I'm proud of you, Emily. You've built something incredible." I smiled, feeling a warmth in my heart. Maybe we were on the right path after all. I replied, "Thank you, Dad. I appreciate your support." As I looked out at the city skyline, I felt truly free for the first time in my life. I had taken control of my finances, my business, and my future. I was no longer defined by my father's expectations. This was my life now, my choices, my future, and it was beautiful.